Hi, welcome to this podcast. I'm going to look at standard costing, and this is going to be focused on the sub-variances related to labour, hence another submarine. And just as a bit of a spot, this is a UK submarine, and I know that because this is a P2000 Royal Navy patrol boat. And at one stage in my life, I used to work on one of those. So it was a random picture, but that's just a little bit of useless information. Right. Broadly, it's similar to what we've already done. So we looked at material variances, and a lot of the information is, I've actually cheated here. I've used the same basic information in terms of hours. So 10,000 hours rather than 10,000 kilograms. Okay. So a lot of the information is the same, but I'll just run you through it again. Budgeted cost of labour, or the budgeted amount of labour, value of labour we plan to use, is going to be standard hours times the standard rate. So $100,000 worth of labour for this particular product. Remember, we're looking at a product level. The actual cost is going to be the actual hours times the actual rate, 99,000. Overall, we spent less on labour for this product than we planned. So we've got a favourable variance of $1,000. And again, I've done this extra little stage in here. So what I've done, so that we can create a labour efficiency subvariance and a labour rate subvariance, I've put an extra little calculation in here just to show you where it comes from, where I've done the actual hours times the original standard rate. So actual hours times the standard rate, and that came to 110,000. And the difference between the budgeted cost and this little extra formula I've done, we can say has got to be down to the change in the hours, because the only difference is a change from standard hours to actual hours. So our labour efficiency subvariance is $10,000 adverse. And what it says is that for this overall variance of 1,000 that's favourable, the labour part has actually given me a adverse variance of $10,000. So using more labour has cost me $10,000 more than I originally planned, and that's a bad thing. However, because we managed to pay people less, we've actually got a difference here of 110 to 899 of 11,000 due to the fact that we've paid them less, because what we've now changed is the standard rate to the actual rate. And that gives me a favourable subvariance of $11,000. And as you can see, again, the difference between the adverse and the favourable variance is 1,000. Overall, that's favourable. So overall, should have an R in there, variance. Okay, overall, that's been a positive change for the firm. We need to learn the formulas again. So to calculate the labour efficiency subvariance, that's the first one, we keep the standard rate the same. So the standard rate in both these two formulas is the same, and we do actual hours take away standard hours times by the standard rate. So 11,000 take 10,000 times 10 equals $10,000 adverse. And it's adverse because the actual hours have been greater than standard hours. For the labour rate subvariance, you've got actual rate minus standard rate times actual hours. 9 minus 10 times 11,000, you've got 11,000 favourable. And again, just note here, in some textbooks, you will see it written as standard hours minus actual hours. This bit in brackets in both the formulas may be reversed around. It doesn't make any difference. It makes figures negative or positive, but so long as you remember that if the actual is greater than the standard, then it's going to be adverse. And if the actual is less than the standard, it's going to be favourable. You can actually write the formulas either way around. I've done it this way because I'm currently teaching EdXL in the UK. I've done it the other way around when I've taught on different boards. You just need to learn a formula and remember that key thing. Think in your head, is this a good thing that we've used more hours or less hours? No, it's a bad thing. We've used more hours. It's got to be adverse. Right, for those of you that I already teach, you've got some questions here to be getting on with. There's a little bit more theory after you've done the questions. And I also want you to comment on possible interrelationships between subvariance. That was something that we covered as theory in a previous video. And so I would suggest that you pause the video very briefly, and then we'll look at the advantages and disadvantages of standard costing. Okay, it's only a short bit of theory, but benefits and the advantages and disadvantages of standard costing. The first obvious thing is it allows comparisons with pre-agreed standards, and those comparisons can be linked, and indeed, if my experience in industry, they were linked to things like performance-related pay and my annual performance review. Okay. Once we've identified variances and subvariances, we can act on them to hopefully drive the business forward and make a business more efficient. It's a tool for eliminating inefficiency, and it does that in two ways. It can do that in terms of within the year, looking at those adverse variances and trying to eliminate them, but also by that process of reviewing the targets each year and trying to get closer and closer to agree to the absolute sort of perfect level of efficiency for each product. And it's also a good tool because it allows us to use management by exception, which then allows us to make efficient use of management time. We can identify where the problems are in advance for the managers, and therefore they can go straight to looking at the right parts of the business to try to drive efficiency. Disadvantages, it still is something that takes time. So although it makes managers more efficient, it still takes up an awful lot of both the accounting department's time and the management's time trying to drive those efficiencies, because in most modern businesses, management is all about trying to improve the business. And it relies completely on the standard or the quality of the standards that are being set. If you've got really poor standard quantities, standard rates, standard prices, standard hours, then the whole system really is a little bit of a waste of time. It's just doing a system to say that we're doing a system. Right, anybody that I teach, if you're unclear on anything, give me a shout. If I don't teach you, have a great day. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.